All right, it's 8:05, so we'll jump into this. Thanks to everybody for your continued interest in all things related to USA Curling. Appreciate that you're taking the time out of your evening to listen in a little bit as we talk about the bylaw amendments and the upcoming vote at the members' meeting. I'll quickly say it's been a pretty exciting few months at USA Curling, working through this new membership model. We think it's an exciting change for the organization. We're looking forward, we hope, to ratification at the members' assembly and moving forward with it. I think it will be positive for the curling community. We have Lauren Rich and myself and others have had a lot of conversation with member clubs about how it will work. And those have gone well, I think, by and large. I see Dustin's on here, maybe some others who've been in those calls. If you want to say they haven't gone well, that's fine too. You're always free to disagree, but I think we've helped bring some clarity there, and most member clubs seem positive about the changes. I want to thank, I know he's on here, Mike Shalhoub, who has dedicated a lot of his pro bono lawyer hours, I guess, to this effort, and helped make sure that we had bylaw amendments that make sense. So Mike's on. Thank you, Mike, for all your efforts on this. I don't know if Dick Dawson's on or not, but Secretary of USA Curling also put a lot of time into this. So just top line, what we'll be voting on at the members' assembly, and we'll be voting, just so everybody's clear, we'll be voting under the old bylaws, which means that the voting will be done at this one by the regional leaders and the athletes. So that's, we have 9 regional associations right now. They'll be voting, casting the corresponding number of votes for their region. Certainly, individual member clubs are free to separate themselves, as we've seen in the past, from their region if they want to. But that's will be voting at this one, and we'll be voting in a change to make it different going forward. So at future member meetings, votes will be carried by individual members of USA Curling. Member clubs will be able to carry those votes for their individual members. But that's how voting will happen in the future. If you haven't reviewed them, there's a fair amount of information on the website related to substantive changes to the bylaws. And you can see there exactly where the biggest changes occurred, which sections of the bylaws. So I'd encourage you to have a look through that if you haven't already. If you did look through that and have questions, etc., this is a great time to bring that up. One question that did come up was, we make reference to a member in good standing in the bylaws. In policies and procedures, we'll further define what a member in good standing is. And that will be a member, in order to be able to vote at the following members' assembly, someone will have to be a member by June 30 at the end of our fiscal year to vote at the next members' assembly. Now, that doesn't mean if you're not a member before then, of course, you won't get the privileges of USA Curling membership. But in terms of voting, that's what a member in good standing would be. So I would like to think we're past the point of checking postmarks, etc. I think we are, and that's how things will work in the future. And in general, it's part of a shift within the organization to earning membership, to doing things that make clubs want to be members and individual members year over year. So we're out of the business, I think, of compliance, and that's for regions as well. And excited to do all we can to make sure that we're serving, the curling community as well as we can. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions, comments. If anybody on the call from our team wants to add anything, feel free to do so now, and we'll just, but happy to answer any other questions. But Jen, I'll look for hands up, or you can just do what I do in these things and jump in. But Or sometimes people like to put questions in the chat. That's certainly an option as well. So I think we should have, at this point, with these questions, maybe we should have lack of questions. Oh, here we go. How will at-large clubs be handled voting? So at this meeting, at-large clubs will vote independently. They'll carry their own votes. This is from Dustin. So you'll carry your own votes at this members' assembly. There will be an electronic roll call. Dick Dawson is working on a platform for that. So people, your attendance will be noted, recorded once you log in. But that's how at-large clubs will be able to vote at this meeting. In many ways, just like any club can separate themselves from their region's vote, but at this meeting, at-large clubs will be voting on their own, since at-large is not a distinct one of the distinct regions, even though you have a board representative. Thanks, Dustin. Some of the things we're going to do in the opening at the members meeting, for people, we are going to explain, why athletes get 33% of the vote, why the athlete vote counts for 33%, which is enshrined in federal law. So there's not, that's how that works. So that will continue. And we support the athletes in their vote. One thing I will say, I'll just add quickly while I have 24 people here, is that, I was just at the USOPC Members Assembly, and I can tell you that our athletes are some of the most engaged and I believe responsible representatives in any NGB. And I think you'll find that, I served on the AAC myself, and I see it now. They're fully engaged at all levels of the game. So, they really are interested in far more than just the elite level of the game. And quite frankly, a lot of their work on the board becomes things not related to that. So, and they do good work on it and are willing to put the time in. So I appreciate their efforts. This is on pace to be the shortest town hall ever. This is when I need a whole lot of extra material that I don't have, but I'll take it as a positive. And I see Lauren's noted in the chat, the proposed bylaw updates and more members meeting info. We will have some more detailed information on the members assembly programming on Saturday that will run tentatively from 10 to 4. We have some good folks lined up already. We have Bobby Ray, who works in membership development at Curling Canada, and is a really good speaker on that topic. We have Jock Tyre and Neil Pipe. Jock Tyre is from the Kelowna Curling Club, and Neil Pfeiffer from Charlotte. Both are going to talk about developing new and more creative revenue sources for clubs. I'm looking forward to that. If you don't know Jock, he's a great guy to listen talk about how to business ideas for curling. And while they certainly have different challenges in Canada, Kelowna is not like most Canadian curling clubs in that they have 12 sheets, 1,000+ members, in a community that has no shortage of leisure activity. So they have to work pretty hard for their curling members. It's not as easy as it is in other parts of Canada. And we also have we'll have a presentation from Katie Baker as their sporting director, talking about the national team program and the expectations involved in that of players and the culture she's creating there. We will have another working group, the arena working group. Will talk about resources for arena clubs. So that will be part of the members assembly programming as well. I have one concern, Jonathan Lee. I have one concern about smaller clubs not being able to send delegates in future members assembly. Well, they will be able to vote electronically, Jonathan. It doesn't have to be in person. So in the future, there wouldn't be, that shouldn't be an issue. I mean, I don't imagine a future where we wouldn't have both virtual and in-person voting. So it's going to be that way this year. It'll be that way in the future. Now, that said, one of the things we're discussing is how we make the members' assembly in the future a more robust, vital program than it has been. That's a challenge, but we'd like to make it like that so that more people do want to attend. That might mean shifting the date slightly, maybe a little more forward or back, whichever, away from the start of the curling season. But that's something we're going to look at for future years. I think we'd all say that this one came together maybe a little bit more quickly than some, and we were really focused on this membership model and bylaws over the summer months. I see David Steele has his hand up. So, hi, David.
Hey, long time no talk. Been a minute.
Yeah.
So one, great to see Lauren on the call. I might be biased, but best membership services manager ever. So I just wanted to ask a question, and I don't really expect like a full answer now, but more to put the bug in your ear about the member rebate that we get when you know, if the club is collecting. I know that there's kind of a benefit that we'll see that rebate up front, whereas if members are doing it on their own and then setting us as their primary club, we'll see it in the following year.
Right.
The thing I wanted to just kind of like highlight is that for your basic membership, things like online payment, like credit card processing fees, they don't really impact that one so much. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But it still does mean that as we move more and more online and away from checks and cash in hand, like as we evolve the sport in the way that different clubs operate, that the processing fees turn that $5 rebate into $4.15 for just your standard. And as soon as you get up to your competitor and coach, that actually ends up being only a net of $2.50 back to the local club. So the payment networks are effectively taking that, and I'm basing this on the nonprofit rates for PayPal or Stripe. If clubs are using other platforms, that may be different. And you know, if a club was to do, you know, something like Gold, they'd be losing $6.30 on every one of those, even with your rebate. So I'm just wondering if you thought about either a sliding scale based on the membership sold. I know that members will be able to head on to your website to do that self-service, but if a club is cash flow, you know, challenged, they might want to encourage direct sign up, or they might just be a big fan of USCA and want to engage there. And so I'm wondering if you have any ideas on how to encourage that level of engagement.
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly encouraging. I mean, the $5 rebate is meant to incentivize clubs to collect member dues, obviously, because we all know human nature is to, you know, if somebody says, hey, you can roll this into your dues, you're more likely to pay than to go online. So that is the incentive. I hadn't thought. So your thought here is that the club itself, if they use an online platform, somebody pays $25, the club's eating $2.50, say. So even with the $5 rebate, it's less. I'm not sure I have a good answer for that, David, and how to sort through that. Something we'll note, and Lauren, your favorite member services manager, is on the call right now, but I'm not sure I have a great solution off the top of my head. If somebody else wants to weigh in, I don't know if, you know, look, we'd love it too if clubs, you know, collected the Gold membership. You know, I think what, you know, we're certainly encouraging any club to collect every membership level if they want to, but I do believe a lot of clubs will collect the basic membership and then have people upgrade in their My USA Curling profile. I would imagine that's easier for most clubs on the accounting side. But yeah, let me think about that. I don't want to speak out of turn and give you an answer that doesn't make sense. So, but noted, and we'll discuss it internally for sure.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Just on this call, I don't know how many people are involved in on the dues collection side of their club, and how many how many, I guess most clubs probably have moved to a online platforms for payment, but I'm going to guess majority have. I'm sure there's some that still do use checks, but from the chat, and Bryce, just to confirm, is a plan to hold a single vote at the members' assembly to pass all proposed changes or amendments to the bylaws rather than a series of votes breaking the proposed changes up piece by piece. Yes, the plan is to capture all the amendments in one vote. We will have we are going to have a parliamentarian at the meeting. That when I discussed it with him today, he thought that if it was amendments, that would be the way to go. That's the plan. Unless people, we could always pivot and make it a 4-hour members assembly or members meeting, but I think we all had enough of that last year. So one other thing for anybody who's if you're from a smaller club, and by smaller I mean you have some of our clubs, say in lesser populated areas, or maybe they're relatively new. The model itself, we were never going to have a model that worked perfectly for absolutely every club, but the model itself, and it's not quite apples to apples, as I've said in other venues, but if all your members were to join and you paid the member club fees, if you had 54 members per sheet, you would pay the same as you did the previous year. Pretty close, right? So 54 members per sheet, sort of the average, and that's if all your members joined and you paid member club fee. Now, there are some clubs that we want to support in places like Hibbing and Eveleth, where they're facilities we like to use for national championships, and they're supportive, and they're in smaller communities, and they have clubs that were built probably in a different era, so they're big, which is great. We need more big clubs. So some of those clubs, if all their members were to join as basic members, they paid their member club fees, could wind up paying more. So we do have an enhanced rebate program for them that prevents them from paying more than they have in past years. So just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. We think it's important to support those clubs, and hopefully help everybody get to 54 members per sheet. So it's at least no more than what you paid in the past. Now, that said, a number of clubs will enjoy significant savings under this new model. Arena clubs with reasonable memberships, some of our, 4-sheet clubs that have well over 100 members per sheet. Those clubs are going to pay less under this, just if you just factored in basic membership and member club fees. Now, that doesn't factor in the fact that you might have people do the $50 premium membership or the $100 competitor or coach membership. So it's not, again, none of this is quite apples to apples, but I want to be transparent that we are working with some of those smaller clubs to help them through that. And we've had a number of calls with those clubs. The other thing I will add, and this is important for anyone who's part of a club that has designs on opening a curling specific or a dedicated facility in the near future, we're going to continue to apply the 1/3, 2/3 full price model that we've used in the past. So if you are a brand new arena club, you'll pay 1/3 in member club fees. If you are a dedicated club, sorry, no, not arena clubs like that, but sorry, if you're a dedicated club, you're moving to a new dedicated facility, you'll pay 1/3 member club fees in your first year that you're open, 2/3 in the second year, and then the full amount in the third year. So you're essentially getting 1/3 of all the benefits for 1/3 of the cost in your first year. And I will add too, just, look, the people on this call, we've got 24 people. So I know that most of you I know that you're all among our most dedicated. So, the real logic behind this, a lot of this is to make sure we get, we want to try to bring in as many clubs as possible and make them part of it and deliver services that that people will, appreciate. See somebody has their hand up. Tony Bomber. Hi,
Yeah.
Tony.
Hey, Dean. Thanks for doing this. You can hear me
No
okay?
problem. I can. Looks like you're working late.
True. To get back to the bylaws, and I apologize for coming here less prepared than I should have been. But it
problem.
makes a distinction between a recognized regional association and a regional association member. And the document, the changes document, makes a point of calling GNCC a regional association member. I was just curious what the difference might be and what kind of privileges are distinct between the two.
So yeah, under the previous bylaws, the actual members of USA Curling were the regions. So we basically had 10 regional associations that were the members of USA Curling. And with that came compliance issues, like 95% of their members and their member clubs had to join the region and USA Curling. So there were obligations in order to have that. Now, what we've done is eliminated the compliance issues. So there's no compliance for a regional association anymore, but they're no longer actually the members of USA Curling. The members of USA Curling are now the individuals who belong to it. And then member clubs can carry the votes of the individual members within their club. So what we didn't want to do, though, was lose regional association participation in USA Curling. So the structure of the board hasn't changed. And that's where we devised recognized regional associations. So recognized regional associations will have a member on the board of directors, just like they have in the past. And we have informally invited the Grand National back, and we will extend a formal invitation to them if the amended bylaws are ratified on the 13th. But so that's the difference. It used to be each region was a member association. Now regions are recognized regional associations with the rights to seats on the board.
Okay, I get that.
Okay.
And this has been answered before, I'm sure, but the number of votes for a club will be the number of dues paying individuals. So if a club chooses to not incorporate that fee, that $25 into a club member's dues, they would have less vote, less say in the vote. Is that right?
Yeah, so member clubs can carry, individual curlers get a vote, and member clubs can carry as many members they have who are also members of USA Curling. So it doesn't seem like a club that only has two people who are, say, members of USA Curling. I hope we do better than that. But say they have two people who are members of USA Curling, it doesn't make sense for that club to have the same number of votes as a club that has 400 members of USA Curling.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Jonathan's asked. Yep, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to ask a follow-up question on that. So you said that the individual members get a vote.
Yep.
At the members assembly, and
yep.
then also the clubs get a voting power that's proportional to, or that is the number of members that are primary members of their club.
Yeah, so the member club can carry the votes for all the individual USA Curling members they have. So however you want to define that, but an individual, just like now, a member club can separate itself from a region. Individuals could separate themselves from their member club if they wanted to. But I'm going to assume that many will just, let their member club represent them, but they don't have to.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. The way that I heard it was like every member sort of gets two voting shares, one for themselves and one through the club, but that's not what you're saying.
Yeah, no. And there was a lot of discussion around that, including whether member clubs themselves would then carry, say, a percentage of votes extra. But in the end, the ad hoc governance ad hoc 4.0 group, and our board just decided that, you know, it was best to leave the voting with individual members, but certainly, you know, member clubs will carry those votes as long as the individual members want them to. So,
Great, thank you.
yeah, no problem, Jeremy. And I see Al has his hand up.
Yeah, I just had a question with when it comes to arena clubs, what does this new model do for kind of the grassroots, smaller clubs that maybe don't have the ability to do the national events? What's the benefit, or what have you guys planned or kind of thought about that this is going to, other than monetary, how is this going to help us as a club? Like, what's our main gain from this?
Well, for starters, you're paying less. That's one thing I'll say. You know, arena clubs are going to pay less than they have in the past, but I understand what's the value for it. I would say it's everything from the clinics, the athlete outreach initiative programs we've done at a lot of arena clubs already this year. You know, the certification courses can still be done at arena clubs. We also have the Our House content platform, and I don't know if you've been on it, Al, but has a lot of resources for arena clubs, and we'll continue to add to that. We have a good arena club working group that's doing a lot of work on that, and there's a lot of material in there for arena clubs, including everything from, you know, how to plan to move to a facility and costs, et cetera, and how to build membership. So those are some of the things that arena clubs will get. And certainly, you know, Arena Nationals is a championship we care about quite a bit, so that's going to continue. And I think Jenna Bercheski just put the link in the chat to ourhouseusa.curling.org, but I'd encourage everybody to check that out. Now, that's an evolving content platform that will just continue to improve. You know, we'll continue to offer things that we think will help arena clubs. We have Lauren Rich, who's on here, you know, started at an arena club at Silicon Valley. She's in Portland now, but we've already done one arena club ice making educational session. You know, we have another arena club operations session coming up this Wednesday that we've programmed. You know, and while we've kept those pretty open, in the future, they will be, you know, will require membership to take advantage of some of those things. So those are, I think, so far pretty good things. I think I shout out to the Arena Club Working Group that puts in a lot of time to help with that. And you know, those are some of the things. I'd also say that the Athlete Outreach Initiative that Bill Peskoff and the Peskoff Charitable Fund was gracious enough to seed. I think just last week we had Tom Howell at Last Chance. Jenna Bercheski could probably tell me how many have been in arena clubs, but a lot of that outreach. Oh, Dallas Fort Worth, we had Tara Peterson go down there, no cost to the club to go down, and you know they're making a big push for dedicated ice. So she was down there. You should check out their site, their Facebook page. Actually, they did a pretty cool video with Tara and what they had her do. I know at Last Chance they had Tom and Roger Smith, a board member, was out there. They did clinics. And then they did an evening at a local brewery to try to get some more community interest in the sport. So, you know, I think anytime, Al, on a micro level, sometimes we can all say, oh, what does this do for me? But I just say that we are working pretty hard to provide programming and services to all our clubs. And, you know, want to try to earn that all the time. And yeah, I'd be happy to share thoughts with you, Al. Let's connect with me and or connect with Lauren, and we'll get something set up.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
David asked, will there be a way for clubs to know how many members have chosen to sever their votes? Put another way, is the bookkeeping and onus onto USA for determining the votes carried by a given club, or is it on each of those clubs? It will be on us, David, but there is a deadline for when someone has to inform the Secretary of USA Curling that they will be voting independently of their member club. Just like now, there's a deadline for a club to indicate to the Secretary that they're voting independently of their region. And off the top of my head, I can't remember if it's 15 days or 30 days or 5 days in advance, to be honest, but there is a deadline.
It's 15 days.
There you go. Thank you, Lauren. So if you choose to separate your vote from your member club as an individual, you'll have to do that 15 days in advance. So that should give us a good tally on voting at by the time we kick off the members assembly. And in some ways, this year's members assembly, I don't think Dick Dawson, our USA curling secretary, but you know, we're trying some things, doing some things this year, like the electronic roll call and things that will make it the whole meeting, we hope, a little well, a lot more efficient. So, and then obviously when we have more voters and more votes to tally, we will need to make it that much more efficient again. But there's certainly platforms out there that can make that possible. Fortune 500 companies can do this, so I think we can do it. Even though we don't have Fortune 500 company resources, we can make it work. Jonathan Lee asked, will coaching certification be required for coaches at regional playdowns or other qualifying events? My answer is yes. I think we have an obligation to certify coaches. We haven't certified coaches. We haven't had a coach certification program, and quite frankly, it's something we should have, and I think we're obligated to have it. So, yeah, going forward, that will be regional playdowns or other qualifying events. Certainly not a 5 and under Bonspiel. You won't need to certify your coach for that, but certainly the regional playdown events will need that. And if you're in one of our men's or women's or mixed doubles qualifier events and you have a coach, they'll need to be certified. So that program we're working on right now, I think it should be ready by early October before this vote, and then we'll start rolling it out after the vote.
Dean, it's Mike. Can I jump back to Dave's question about opting out?
Yeah, definitely, Mike.
The question was how might a club know if a member is opting out? The member is, and I forget what, 15 days, I guess, but the member notifies the Secretary of U.S. Curling and their curling club that they'll be opting out. So the curling club will know that way as well.
There you go. That's the belts and suspenders that Mike has built into the bylaws. So appreciate that, Mike. So, I mean, I would hope that in general, we don't have issues so controversial that individuals are so inclined to, separate their votes from their member clubs, but certainly, not going to be so naive that there couldn't be a time when that happens. So. I'll throw it out to staff and Mike and anybody who's on from the board if there's something else you think we should cover. Otherwise, I'll just let me know, or otherwise we'll give it a few more minutes here and let everybody enjoy the rest of a late summer night. Just curious, how many people, if you're at a dedicated ice facility, or how many people have ice making underway? I guess most. Does anybody have their ice in? Not including, say, Chaska or those clubs. Oh, there's a hand up, maybe. Looks like Dustin. Hi, Dustin. Go ahead.
Yeah, we just finished installing our ice and are having our first learn to curl of the season actually this evening. So we should be ready to go. Minus a couple tweaks, a couple pebbles and scrapes here and there. We should be ready to go within the next week or so.
Awesome. Good luck to your club this year and everything. Something I'll just share with the groups, the people that are on here, because I know a lot of you are really active in your clubs, but the T-Line of Nashville, they've been doing what they call 1 hour curltainment. And I mean, I spoke to someone today who one person alone has run 5,000 people through that in 1 hour sessions. So it's a little different than the Learn to Curls a lot of us run. If you go on the content platform, you will see our own guide for a 1 hour Learn to Curl that we suggest maybe as an intro first night out. Certainly not every club does, what they want to do. And, we're not in any position to tell a club what might be better for their club than something else. But one thing I've personally always liked about 1 hour is when you do a 1 hour Learn to Curl, at the end of it, people actually want a little more curling. They're not tired and cold and they want to come back. So something to think about, or at least I know some clubs too have tried a mix just to see which works better, which produces a better conversion rate. All right, Peter has a question in the chat that I'll look at. Yeah, so Peter, they will need the $100 competitor membership to compete in the regional playdown. That's a question about a U18 athlete if they need the $100 competitor membership. So in a regional playdown, yes, they would need the $100 membership. One thing I will say too, though, on that is that we have restructured how the regional playdown fees are done. So overall, your costs are flat or less than what you paid in the past. We used to collect $150 from each participant in a regional playdown, and it harkened back to a time when regional playdowns were basically entering national championships. So now we're charging much less than that for a regional playdown fee, and only the competitors who make it to the nationals will pay the bigger fee. So even with the $100, most athletes will pay less than they would have in the past. And that $100 membership would let you compete in something else as well, like juniors or whatever else a young player might want to be in. It's like Jeremy has his hand up.
Yeah, as long as we have a few minutes here. So
Sure.
with the change in the membership model, I'm curious, like, what the vision is for the role of regions, assuming that the membership model passes.
Well, I think regions remain fundamental to us growing the sport in the country, and we look forward to continuing to work with regions on efforts. I mean, we certainly we can't do this ourselves, right? So, and I have always believed that regional associations are super important. And in fact, I would say the hierarchy for most curlers in terms of who they're most loyal to would probably be their own local club first, then their regional association, and then we're sort of last. Now, I'd like to be not dead last, but I can understand that because they have more touch points with the regional association. So I don't see that changing, Jeremy. I think what we have done, really all we've done on the regional perspective, is remove the obligation for regions to collect dues. We've removed the obligation for regions in order to maintain their status as a regional association. We've removed the compliance issues. Apart from that, nothing really changes. We see room for robust, active regional associations and want to support them. So, I can certainly see it, however things go, we might end up working more with one regional association on a certain project or something else with another regional association. I'd like to see more partnership efforts in the future.
And Dean, it's Mike, if I can add to.
Yeah, absolutely.
The regional the recognized regional associations remain on the board. So there are 6 board seats that are helping manage and run the U.S. curling on a, well, not day to day because Dean's doing it day to day, but on a policy basis.
Yeah,
there's 6 people on the board from the recognized regional association, so that hasn't changed.
But I appreciate the question, Jeremy, and it's a fair one. So if you have a follow-up, go for it. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I think it would be easy for some to interpret this as saying, oh, USA Curling doesn't want regions, and absolutely not. We do want them. And if we didn't want them, we wouldn't have, made sure that we populated the board with regional association leaders.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really have a follow-up, or I'm just curious. I think that when the model was proposed, I kind of just heard a lot of people wondering what the division was there.
We just want every region to have as many regional playdown entries as MOPAC. For people who don't know, MOPAC absolutely crushes it on regional playdown entries.
And more than some of the furthest to travel.
That's what's amazing. You travel the furthest, and they have some of the most active or most populated regional playdowns. So great to see. I think that's a great sign for curling in the region. Even though you do have some serious geography to cover, you're getting it done. So, so hopefully that answers it, and hopefully, you know, I would hope that if you you know, that if you hear something, I know most of you are very involved in your club, and if you want to explain any of these things when people ask, well, what's the role of regions, feel free to do that, or connect them with Lauren or myself, or and we can walk through some of the amendments and changes. So 8:45. I think I'll wrap it up unless I joke about this every time, but the first members assembly I did a year ago last November, I think there were 600 people on it. So we're down to 24, which now we might have to space them out a bit more. So, but no, I'm kidding. I enjoy doing them. I'm happy to have a chance to talk to this group, and appreciate all your time and all you do for the sport. Al says, what do you need the clubs to do that would better support USAC? Well, I can't let that question go unanswered. But you know, I think as much as, you know, one thing I should mention too that I didn't actually, Alan, I'm glad you brought it up, but we are going to have a club council. So every club needs to select 2 representatives of different genders. And there will be regular meetings with me and other board members to get feedback on what's working, what isn't for clubs. I think the biggest thing we could get from clubs is just information. If clubs can let us know really if there's something that's you know, bothering your membership, or something your membership's upset about, or if they have questions that are going unanswered, the best thing for us from a club is club leadership to reach out to us, because often some of these things, you know, we don't hear about. So we'd rather hear about them and see if we can come up with solutions. So that would be a big thing for us. Just regular communication. You can always reach out to any of us on staff. Our emails are all on the website. I don't want to throw everybody at Lauren, but Lauren, Jenna, Gabby have all handled all this stuff. But and I'm always happy to talk to somebody either. So that would be the biggest thing. I'll just information and feedback, and certainly ideas too. If on this content platform, if you're a club and you have an idea that really boosted your conversion rate or boosted your membership numbers, please share it with us, because we'd like to share it with others. I guess also collect dues, Al. That would be another awesome thing the clubs could do, but I'm not going to be that. I try not to be that blunt, but appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.